Great. Thank you, Tiffany. Hi, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone. I am thrilled to spend some time with all of you in the partner community today. My name is Lisa Gosselin. As Tiffany mentioned, I'm part of the Security Partner Development team. I have spent 20 years in cybersecurity. I joined Microsoft a year and a half ago. I will describe that year and a half as fast and furious. It is a tsunami of information, even for a veteran like me who has been in the industry for a while. It took me 12 months to really get my sea legs. When we say we manage partners, build with, it took me 3 months to even understand what that meant. So what I want to do during my session is really break it down for you and help you understand how to maximize the partnership with Microsoft and what the formula for success is with other partners. So when we say build with, that means I identify with the partner services that augment what you already do and wrap those around Microsoft solutions. And then we bring those to market. Something else I want to share with you is the word workload. So workload from Microsoft means product or solution. And the reason why I'm sharing that with you is it literally took me 4 months before I knew what the heck workload was. Microsoft uses that term and they have millions, or maybe not millions, but they have a lot of workloads across all their licenses. So it's a pleasure to speak with you this morning. As Tiffany said, Jim Bannock is the compliance architect, and he is going to tag team with me. I'm going to walk you through approximately 5 slides, turn it over to Jim. And what I really want you to get out of this session, I want you to be set up for the rest of the day to say, okay, this is a workload, again, solution or product that Microsoft is bringing to market, and understand where it fits within your services or practices within your partner, so that you walk away from today's session just really understanding your starting point. So let me back up. The formula for being successful with Microsoft is really, it's not selling to customers. It has nothing to do with reselling licenses, and I'm going to drill down on that. It's all about activation. One thing I should say, I use my hands a lot, which is why I got my nails done, but activation, because Microsoft is brilliant. They are the best when it comes to bundling, discounting within their license. And so in the M365 world, again, I'm talking only security solutions and or security workloads, and I'm only talking about large enterprise customers. But Microsoft sells to everybody. And what we do is there's an E3 M365 license and there's an E5. E3 includes your basic security workloads. E5 is kind of all encompassing. It includes the advanced security workloads. Why am I sharing this with you? Because here's how a typical sale goes down with Microsoft. You've got a whole host of folks on the Microsoft account team, usually modern work. They walk into the client, they meet with the IT organization, and they start the conversation about E3, E5, bundling, upselling, usually bring in some finance folks, sometimes the CFO if it's a large enough deal, and they sell the license. Never is the security team aware, I shouldn't say never, but a lot of times the security team isn't aware. And the same thing goes for Azure. They go in, they meet with the cloud team, they get the deal done, they leave, and we know cloud teams don't talk to security organizations. So the opportunity for you, the partner, is to understand the customer business challenge, under manage and investigate risk with data. What are they doing? And then talk to them about, well, what Microsoft license do you have? Because I'm telling you, this is why it's different at Microsoft. It's not you go in and you sell them a one solution that identifies a certain pain point and you're one and done. With Microsoft, and that's the opportunity, is you go in, you talk to them about their Microsoft license, understand which one they have, which workload, again, product or solution, aligns to the business challenge. And a lot of times you're the hero because they didn't know that they already own it. So cost optimization, you already have it, let's activate it. And there's tons of services that you, the partner, can wrap around that workload. There's also, I call it the gift that keeps on giving, because you go in and you have a conversation about, let's say, I have one partner that delivers over 400 data assessments a year to their clients. And what they've done is they said, you know what, Compliance Manager has over 300 templates out of the box. We are just augmenting that. So it's the gift that keeps on giving. They go in with one thing and then say, oh, we can augment that with the Compliance Manager, help you out a lot with regulatory compliance, easy, out of the box. You get the point. So with services and partners, again, not reselling, it's all about activating the services. A lot of partners start with advisory services, but there's also deployment and implementation and managed services. Jim is going to really talk about the revenue opportunity and the money that you can make across those different practices. Let me spend a little more time talking about Microsoft. When I joined a year and a half ago, 180,000 employees. We are a Fortune 500 company in the top 25 in the world. We are huge. We're probably above 200,000 people now. Microsoft is brilliant in that it treats Microsoft as a client. And what I mean is we work closely with Microsoft departments to understand the business challenges, the business goals they have, the business challenges from a security and a compliance perspective, two separate things. And then that actually helps us shape our security strategy and the products that we bring to market. It also helps us identify gaps. And if it works for a company the size of Microsoft, then it's got the, good housekeeping seal of approval. And I can say that with confidence because Gartner's Magic Quadrant, I think we're leaders in 12 of the categories out there. So a few more interesting facts about Microsoft before we get started. We're a $10 billion, that's with a B, $10 billion company. We grew 40%. That is amazing. And I would challenge anybody to stand up another company in security that can post those numbers. 40% growth, 10 billion, that's a lot. And if that wasn't enough to convince you that now's the time to attach your coattails to Microsoft and build out services, how about the fact that Satya Nadella, our CEO, committed 20 billion, again, the B's, to invest in Microsoft security over the next 5 years. I mean, that is a lot of money. So if you think we have workloads today and solutions, just wait to see what's coming with that $20 billion investment. Two more things. Microsoft has superpowers. Two of them I want to talk to you about because in my opinion, it really sets us out from or differentiates us. Think about data. Think about Microsoft's business. We are the data experts. We, across infrastructure, we make applications that house the data. We are experts when it comes to data. That's one of our superpowers. The other one is telemetry. There are 8 trillion, and that's with a T, signals that we capture every day. We have visibility into so much data across our different business units. Think about consumers, Xbox, 400 billion emails get analyzed monthly. Think about 1.2 billion Windows devices get updates monthly. We take all that telemetry out there and as well as the threat intelligence that we have, And that is incorporated into our solutions. So not only do we know the data, we have visibility into the data. So those are two superpowers I wanted to make sure you understood. Okay, so let's get into manage and investigate risk. So there are workloads. Remember, I honestly thought when I first joined Microsoft that people got paid. They got a bonus every time they said the word workload. And it was because we have so many. So under the manage and investigate risk umbrella, there are over 17 workloads. We're not going to focus on the 17. We're going to focus on the 4 in the red up on the screen, the red bullets that make up the foundation of components for manage and investigate risk. On the right-hand side, I did want to just touch on a few of these just for awareness, just so that when you leave and you go to Microsoft's sites and you see all these workloads and you're like, wait a minute, they didn't talk about these under manage and investigate risk. They go with them. All of our products are natively built in, again, to that license, and but they all go together. Again, the gift that keeps on giving. You could be in talking to a customer, doing a information data labeling, classification, retention project. And when you've done that, you can say, well, obviously you care about your data. It's a priority for you. What are you guys doing for insider risk? Again, pulling that thread that keeps on pulling in the other workloads. So let's talk about manage and investigate risk. I say that this is gnarly, and I say gnarly because everybody has a different definition for it, right? Different words: data protection, data privacy, information governance, information protection, yada, yada, yada. Well, from a Microsoft perspective, manage and investigate risk are about data, access, risk, and compliance. And we're going to talk more about those. So we talked to a lot of customers, and we put out a survey earlier this year and asked customers what's top of mind when you look out over FY21. So I want to share some of those responses with you. 93% of the folks we surveyed said insider risk is a concern. But even more importantly, 63% said they are extremely concerned about insider risk. It's going to be something that I think gets more visibility and talked about more in the next 12 to 24 months. The explosion of data, I'm not going to spend a lot of time because everybody talks about this. We all know it. What the challenge, though, and what customers said is, yes, the digital estate is expanding, but I can't see the data, right? It's across multiple platforms, multiple vendors. You've got AWS, Google, Microsoft. It's across multiple user devices. And all of a sudden, one day, 18 months ago, I could walk into my cubicle and I had an IT sanctioned space. The next day, the pandemic hit, and now I'm borrowing my 6-year-old's iPad and having to dial into work and having corporate data on it. So that's a big challenge for folks. Compliance goes hand in hand with insider risks, because if you have policy violations, either internal or external, you've got to report those and take action and remediate as soon as possible. And then also customers said, look, it's really hard with IT, HR, and legal because these folks have never had lunch together and they don't necessarily know each other. I think the partner, you, have a real opportunity, because when you're talking to them about managing and investigating risks, you can present it from a business perspective and be the bridge within those different departments. And then last, costs associated with investigating risks. This is a cost to doing business. It hits the bottom line. There's really high costs, and it's challenging. It is manual, and it takes a long time. And with that, they pointed out the collection, the preparation of that data, and then the extrapolation to the third parties. It's very challenging. So let's talk about what the approaches are today and why they don't work. Well, to be honest with you, and we know this from our own experience because, again, we work closely with the internal teams at Microsoft, and this particular one, it is very difficult. What typically happens, solutions today, they go out, they collect signals using a user analytics monitoring solution. I don't know why I have such a hard time saying that, a UAM solution. And then they feed those signals into a user entity behavioral and analytics solution. It's kludgy. It's a lot of noise. It creates a lot of noise. It's like finding a needle in a haystack. And again, from our own experience, it chews up a lot of engineering resources because not only do they have to configure it and get it up and running, but they've got to maintain those signal ingestion scripts. And it's just really challenging. But let's say a client gets this working and they're able to identify the risks. I would challenge you, what next? Okay, you know that there's been you know that there's an insider risk, you know that there's an event that happened. What is the remediation? What is the automated workflow? It's not an end-to-end solution, and that's what Microsoft, and you'll learn about in the rest of the sessions today. So let's drill down a little bit from an insider risk perspective. There's a lot of categories here. It's not just data theft. It's not just data leakage. It's workplace harassment. Again, you've got chat, Slack. You have a lot of communication methods that have been introduced, especially with this remote work. And all of that is on company time and company application and company devices. And so these represent risk to the business. You need to be able to proactively get visibility on what's going on with these risks, not wait for them to happen. When they happen, you obviously have to take action and reduce the time to remediation. But even more importantly, get visibility before it happens. And today, technology with partner services, with machine learning, and the integration of HR systems, et cetera, can provide that proactive visibility. A quick story here. So I wanted to share with you how our insider risk solution came to be. So I think it was the 2004-2005 timeframe. XP Windows was our operating system. And we had a project manager and engineers that were working on XP. And every month they'd meet, they'd talk about roadmap, bugs, features, etc. And every time, about 3 days after the meeting, word would get out. The trade magazines would have it, and the project manager would meet the following month and say, you know what, folks, this is confidential. Someone's leaking this information, and it's against policy. And sure enough, they'd leave, they'd talk about all the confidential information, they'd leave, and it would be public information again. So the project manager actually wrote code and was able to find out who was leaking the information. So that's our story as it pertains to insider risk. So the last one I'm going to cover at a high level is advanced eDiscovery. We talked about how costly this is. We talked about how manual this is. I want to share with you a couple of data points that I have regarding Microsoft's investigative team in our legal department. As you can imagine, Microsoft has a target on its back, one of the largest companies, and people are always trying to breach us. Well, we get cases a lot, and we have to respond to those cases. So it was taking our investigative team between 2.5 to 3 weeks to, excuse me, to collect, prepare, and extrapolate that data. And I would mention that it's not just providing it's critical to just provide the relevant data. You don't want to provide too much data because that could be just as that could create a whole set of problems. So it was taking 2.5 to 3 weeks to respond to these cases. They implemented advanced eDiscovery and were able to save 4.5 million annually. This is Microsoft. This is not a public use case yet, but amongst us, we can talk about it. And they were able to shrink that time to market, or not market, to the third party from 2.5 to 3 weeks to hours. And you don't want your skilled resources laboriously going through and trying to cull this information. So there's a real ROI associated with advanced eDiscovery and advanced audit. You're going to see the demos later on today, but just keep that in mind. And with that, I think I am done, and I am going to hand it over to my esteemed colleague, Jim Bannock.
And it would be great if I can get off of mute here. Thank you, Lisa. Appreciate the time. Let me just quickly flip here and share. So what I want to talk about today in the last few minutes that we have left, Lisa did a great job explaining kind of how we position our products, some great things they can do to help. What we see is kind of the opportunity for partners getting into our security and compliance tools. So I want to kind of start first. Lisa mentioned this, we have our 3 pillars, the strong foundation. We don't get to be that $10 billion business without having that world-class multi-cloud, multi-platform security business. For those of you that may not have thought of Microsoft as a leader in this business before, I think these numbers really reflect our feelings that none of this, that what we're doing is an afterthought. We have over 4,000 experts helping 4,000 customers, and as Lisa mentioned, 8 trillion signals daily that we're doing. So we're in a really unique position to help all of our partners capitalize on this, because really the Microsoft Cloud is the only cloud that is built by a security vendor. Our approach to security is to understand both the breadth and the depth of the entire estate, look at everything that is going on end to end to help drive faster insights with greater accuracy using the machine learning tools that we have available. The insight from our data, our research, we're able to help your teams, help your customers by protecting and staying on top of the new attacks in a more efficient way. Use the prevention, staying on top of that endless to-do list that make these attacks to begin with. So today, Microsoft 365 really has provided opportunities to drive managed services, leading to predictable, sustainable, profitable services, revenue, and resilience in your business through that changing market landscape. All this is while providing greater business value and business transformation for our customers than ever before. We've seen these trends continued in through 2020 and now 2021, and we expect them to continue into the future. In fact, security, compliance, and identity has increased almost 38% since launch. And we're seeing that over 84% of that user amount is for managed services and business solutions that our partners are driving. So last year, if we kind of take a little deeper dive into the numbers, we saw partners were capturing about $13 per user per month in revenue opportunity. In 2021, where we are now, partners are reporting almost $24 a user per month. So that equates to an 85% year-over-year increase for those modern work security solutions. And for those partners that are bringing that additional focus to the Azure side of the security side, we're seeing almost $30 a user per month in revenue, growing that opportunity. So if we put it all together, it's almost 130% year-over-year increase when we combine modern work security with Azure Cloud Security. So really just kind of want to say it's a great opportunity that all partners can take advantage of when they're developing and offering Microsoft security services. Really quickly, as we kind of wrap up, to break out that opportunity of what's in that $30 a user a month. Modern work security accounts for about 40% of all the work that is in there. When we go in there and we look at cloud security, identity, and compliance, each one of those takes up about another 20% of that total pie. So we can see really it benefits our partners if you're delivering the entire ecosystem of our services that are out there. As I wrap up, and I'm going to hand it over to Paul and other members of the team to start talking about insider risk, wanted to take a little bit deeper dive into an actual service opportunity based on the Forrester research that was put out earlier this year. So as of today, Forrester states that our gross margins for services range anywhere from 25 to 80%, mainly around deployment, advisory, adoption, business solutions, managed services. Of that 30 per user per month, what was most common were managed services, business solutions, deployment, and then that adoption and change management. What we're hearing our partners say is that managed services is that new normal, and with many of their customers. We've got that ever increasing complexity of vulnerabilities and solutions. Companies are finding it harder to manage that full stack of tools that are out there. And how do you monitor and respond to all these threats in-house? So it's really given partners an opportunity to attach their managed services, being their compliance, being their security, being their identity as a service provider. And we feel this is really appealing to partners because it creates that recurring revenue, which helps inform your financial projections, increases your valuation, and it also creates that longer, more strategic relationship with the customer, which then drives into how do I drive that next step of transformation? How do I drive those other innovative and kind of expansive project opportunities? So thank you. Lisa and I will thank you today, as we kind of set the stage for what we're going to talk about today. And hope everyone has a great day. And if there's any questions, please feel free to put them in the Q&A and we'll answer them throughout the day.